Let the train!
You are listening to What the Truck. Yeah, welcome to What the Truck. It's day 2 at FreightWaves Live. You know, we're giving an award away here. We're giving away, not this one.
No.
Something slightly less prestigious, maybe more prestigious this year. Shipper of Choice 2021 at the end of the show. Stay tuned for it. I'm Dooner.
Oh, yeah, you
That's
better.
the dude.
Peace and love. Welcome, everybody, man. Day 2. It's rocking and rolling, man. It's going fast. Lots of good information, though.
It's a good time, and we're going to get together with a bunch of guests today. We have some great stories to get to, but, you know, we can't put these events on without our sponsors, so let's thank TriumphPay. TriumphPay is committed to providing efficiency and value to all of their customers. With the upcoming acquisition of HubTran, the combined company will create a fully integrated payments network for the transportation industry, including factors, brokers, and carriers. Visit TriumphPay.com to learn how they can drive your business forward together. We highly implore you to do that after the show. And you know what? Because pretty soon we're going to talk to a guest from TriumphPay, so you don't want to leave just yet.
No. You can hear it right from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Should we give something away? We told you if you registered, you're going to win all of these cool items. We can't get upstage by put that coffee down. We already gave something away, can we?
Oh, yeah. No, we're going to give something really cool away. What are we going to give away?
We're going to give away a lot. On this show, we're giving away 4 different prizes. 4 different prizes on this particular show.
What?
The first one, which we're going to give away right now. Oh, wow, I know this guy, too. I feel like, buddy, I know him. All right, here it goes. Canon EOS 90D camera to FedEx's Gregory Desgrossiers. Gregory.
Imagine how you'd have butchered that name if you didn't know him.
It's like when you write something in cursive you don't know how to spell. I was like, Desgrossiers. Well, Gregory, I know him on Twitter, though. Hey, Greg, congratulations on winning this camera. It's super cool, man. Maybe you'll start your own freight TV show.
Wow.
Have us as a guest.
17 letters. He deserves more than just a cannon. He's got 17 letters in his last name, my friend.
DM me with the correct pronunciation. All right, should we give away one more thing? You
Yeah,
guys
let's
like giveaways?
do it. Yeah.
Do you like giveaways?
I do. Let's do it.
Louder. Okay.
I do.
All right, number 2 coming up. It's the Apple TV, and it's going to Dev Bridges' own Felicia Sakalaris. She's an enterprise account executive, and now the proud owner of an Apple TV 4K, where you can download the FreightWaves TV app, watch this show live. You can watch What the Truck live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern time. But you know what? You don't have to make an appointment with your TV. You know why? Because it's all on demand, too.
It is.
Yeah, it's on demand.
Sweet.
So are all the events from here.
Oh, there, right?
Live.freightwaves.com. You can rewatch all this stuff, or look up Freightcast on your favorite podcast player choice. If you're out and about like me, you like audio, you can't sit still to watch the video.
No, you can't.
Perfect choice.
That's it.
Hey, here's a story that I
man.
think, we have a big audience here. So
Yes, we
I
do.
just want to shine some light on this one. It's something that we kind of touched on What the Truck, about that one seafarer who was stuck in Egypt for like 5 years over an unpaid bill.
Yeah, that was insane.
Seafarers are some of the most neglected people in supply chain right now. And Lori-Ann LaRocco, she has an amazing story about this that's talking about the ICS. They warned American shipper that the maritime industry's ongoing crew crisis is only going to get worse. And we say crew crisis, it's because there are 200,000 seafarers currently experiencing issues with crew change, primarily because of government-imposed travel restrictions. India being particularly impacted by this because they have this big COVID outbreak, but this is extended all throughout the pandemic.
It is, and one of the big things, I mean, we talked about this early on in the pandemic. There was like 400,000, right? And now there's 200, and the warning could get worse again. And a lot of it has to do with the outbreak in India. 14% of the seafarer crew out there across all are from India.
And, that's, I mean, look.
14%.
India makes up about 17% of the world's population, so that kind of aligns with its dynamics. But this is a huge, not only are they getting hammered by the pandemic, not only can people not see their families, but now they can't even get off their vessels. The way vessels are flagged, it creates a ton of issues. This is a great article by Lori-Ann. Give it a read. Take notice. And if you have any influence in this space, I personally don't know what to do other than shed awareness on this, so go to FreightWaves.com and read that one. But there's some really exciting stuff going on. It's Melissa Forman. She's the Chief Strategy Officer at TriumphPay. We kind of alluded to it with their partnership with HubTran they have going on now, that the acquisition and all what's going on there. So let's bring her on the show to find out what's happening. She's a busy lady. Melissa, thanks for joining us at Live at Home.
Hi, guys. Good to see you again, and so happy to be here.
Yeah, where are you joining us from today?
From home in San Diego.
Lovely San Diego.
Oh, very cool.
Lovely
Beautiful
San
stuff.
Diego.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Well,
beautiful.
hey, tell us, you're expanding. We kind of mentioned it in the thank you so much for sponsoring the show. We mentioned it in the read, but you're expanding with the upcoming acquisition of HubTran with the intention of creating a payment network. But what does that all mean?
Great question. It's really exciting times today for TriumphPay and for HubTran. As you guys know, we've spent a lot of time with you on the show and with the FreightWaves teams. And TriumphPay has always been a carrier payment platform. It was designed to connect brokers, shippers, and factors and carriers through forward-looking solutions, right, that help each party successfully process, settle, and manage their carrier payments, and to help them drive growth. The traditional TriumphPay offering provides supply chain finance to brokers, allowing them to pay their carriers faster and drive carrier loyalty. We provide these tools and services to increase the automation, to mitigate fraud, create back office efficiency, and improve the payment experience. However, this model provided the most efficiency gains to brokers in its traditional form. And so our decision to acquire HubTran has allowed us the opportunity to transform the TriumphPay platform from a payment platform into an open loops payments network, which is quite different. This pivot allows us to connect all participants in the network to valuable data that's necessary for their day-to-day business operations through integration.
Very cool. So, Melissa, let's break that down a little bit, right? So it's an expansion of who can use it, right? But also the tools involved as well. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yep. So, when we think about the transportation industry, we know that 50% of brokered freight is transacted through a factoring company in order to get carriers paid. Today, there's very little integration or coordination between brokers and factors that allow them to seamlessly transact, creating costly inefficiencies for both participants. TriumphPay's focus has always been on the post-load portion of the transaction, and within that, you have presentment, settlement, and payment. TriumphPay's strength was in the presentment and payment portion, but we had a bit of a gap in our capabilities in terms of settlement. HubTran's technology suite is laser focused on supporting the settlement function for both brokers and factors. For a broker, this is done through document processing and workflow management, and for factors, it's with their verification modules, invoice processing, and workflow management tools that have been designed specifically for a factor's needs. By combining the two companies together, we can bring visibility to the source of truth to all parties in the transaction and maintain structured data throughout the post-load process. So this connectivity will create efficiencies for all parties and begin to de-risk the transaction. What's really exciting for the factoring industry is we are now at a point with the combined service offering to bridge the gaps in communication for factors and brokers through data integration, which empowers them to use that data for automation of processes on both sides of the transaction. So the payments network will create additional efficiencies of scale, empower automation, will reduce risk in the transaction because factors will now have access to the data from where the transaction originates or the source of truth. So if you think about that, you imagine a world where a carrier submits their invoice to a factor, the factor has real-time connectivity to that broker, is able to validate that the load is legitimate, that the amount is correct. They can create automation to approve that funding, get funds into the hands faster to the carrier, but also allow them to do that in a more efficient way on their side. And then throughout the process, as they submit those invoices to the broker, having real-time feedback on the approval of that invoice, the scheduled payment date for that invoice. And then finally, when TriumphPay processes that payment on behalf of the broker, we're able to send them details for cash application to help automate the collection and cash application process as well. So it's exciting because both companies, TriumphPay and HubTran, have provided value in kind of silos within this, but now together we can create even more opportunities for efficiency gains and data sharing across the platform.
Let me ask you, so that collaboration too with working with HubTran and other team, is that something that TriumphPay is used to, or what's the experience like, and how has it been building out this product and making this thing come to life while working with another team?
It's been really really good. TriumphPay and HubTran have very similar visions for the industry and how we can transform it. Our cultures are similar with our teams. They have a phenomenal technology stack. They have phenomenal people. And it's just been overall a very easy fit to bring our two teams together. The transaction hasn't closed just yet. We have received approval, but we expect the final transaction to close in the next couple weeks. And so we haven't been able to bring everything together yet, but we certainly have spent a lot of time working together and planning and making sure that transition can go very smooth.
So, I mean, like you said, you haven't brought everything together quite yet to make this go. But the way you're explaining this to me, it sounds like it's almost like a first step, right? It's you're bringing this data together. Yeah. You're verifying different pieces of data that weren't seen across the board before, right? That transparency, that collaboration, that visibility into all the different data points that are there. Is one of the benefits there that there's less arguments between this and the settlement is much easier, much quicker?
Absolutely. So what happens in most transactions today, most invoice transactions, is that the data about the invoice and the images of the documentation that supports it end up getting doc typed and indexed, so turned into structured data. And then in multiple times to the process get broken back apart and sent as an email. So the carrier sends it as an email to the factoring company. The factoring company does a bunch of work to be able to process it in their system, and then turns around and sends an email to the broker in order to bill it, who then has to go through a very similar process to structure the data again and get it into their system for the approval process. And so we'll be able to take that data and keep it structured all the way through, so that when it hits each of the different work groups, it'll be able to be processed faster and with AI, eventually be able to create some automation there, where brokers and factors can create automation on their side based on their own business rules to take it even to the next step.
Now, Melissa, is this a marriage of internal or external efficiency or both? Because I'm kind of hearing both, but bringing this partner in, it sounds like it also enhances internally what TriumphPay does, while also providing a lot of value to customers at the same time. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so. We have, certainly different technologies and systems and processes on our side. Notice of assignment processing, for example. We're processing over 8,000 notice of assignments a day on behalf of our brokers. And so utilizing, HubTran's technology to help us do that in a more efficient manner is exciting. But even to take it to the next level, it's more about the integrations that we can create. So TriumphPay has very deep integrations into the brokers, and HubTran has very deep integrations into the factoring management software providers. And so through that and being able to build on and augment the integrations that exist today, that's where the real magic happens. And so being able to in real time affect remittance for a carrier to make sure that the carrier is paid properly or the factoring company is paid properly is going to reduce and eliminate a lot of the inefficiencies around chasing misdirected payments and trying to figure out who should have gotten what when. And there's always some timing issues in terms of ACHs are out the door and when a remittance change happens. And so we're really trying to tie that in and build a process together with all participants, brokers and factors, bring them together and build out a new process, build something that the industry wants to adopt on the network that will make it more streamlined for all parties.
It's amazing. Dooner, I forget what the number is, but there's multiples, tens of hundreds, maybe of millions of dollars sitting out there in arguments that should have already been settled, right?
Yeah.
That this frees up all that capital. Maybe Melissa knows that number. I can't remember what that number is, but I know it's a staggering amount that's sitting there. Like you said, misappropriated funds. People have got to be excited about the possibility of, like you were implying, automatically settled and paid, right? Eventually where you're going with the AI. How's the response, the inquiries? People got to be knocking on the door saying, okay, let's go. When is this going to hit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting a few weeks since the announcement. And, while we believe we have it, the concept and the idea and what the industry needs, pretty good high-level view of what we want to create and accomplish. The most important thing that we're doing right now is listening. So we took the first couple weeks to get the message out to the industry, specifically for HubTrans factoring clients in the factoring industry, because we wanted to make sure they understood what our intentions were with the network and how we want to bring them into this and the additional value that we can bring. But then last week, we spent the entire week at IFA, International Factoring Association Conference in Phoenix, and listened. We wanted to hear from them. We want to understand concerns. We want to understand what the pain points are, because we could go out and start building something, that we think is right, but might not necessarily be fixing the problems and solving for the pain points that they have or that are the most critical for them today.
Mm-hmm.
So listening is a big part of what we're trying to do right now. And then as we combine the two companies and close out the transaction, we'll be able to quickly start working on solving for those.
Well, speaking of feedback, Melissa Thompson in the comments here says, TriumphPay has been extremely good for our small company. We can easily control our cash flow. Nothing but good things to say about TriumphPay. To learn more about TriumphPay, where do we send them to?
TriumphPay.com.
There you go. And then you got a little social proof as well. So good times, Melissa. Thank you so much. And thank you always for your continued support of this show. One of the longest running sponsors of What the Truck we've had, a show that's been on since 2018. Once again, thank you to you, Jordan Graff, and the entire team over there. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys for your support. As always, we appreciate it.
Take care. Hey, now we're going to talk to someone new, right? It is Cal State Fullerton Titan alumni. Dude, by the way, did you know that Kevin Costner and Gwen Stefani are also grads?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Well, we'll see if he's walking through the spider webs. It is TAI Software's VP of Sales, Sean McGillicuddy. Sean, thank you so much for joining us on What the Truck today at Live at Home.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I noticed early on you had a couple tough last names to pronounce, so I do appreciate you getting mine right, because I know it's not always an easy one either.
I can nail the Polish and Irish because that's my lineage. Anything outside those walls is a little bit of trouble to me. But real quick, introduce yourself, give a little elevator pitch on what you guys do.
Yeah, so my name's Sean McGillicuddy. I'm from TAI Software, and so our flagship product is a TMS software for LTL and full truckload brokers. So we do a lot of things to increase automation, end-to-end automation on the LTL side, and we're doing a lot of really cool things right now to increase visibility of the market on the truckload side, and making sure that brokers have full visibility over their network, and they're able to maximize finding coverage from one page and just streamlining everything. So brokers are who we're trying to help, and that's what we do.
That's excellent stuff. Shipment visibility has really been a significant topic for several years, right? And people are talking about it all the time. And some of it is vaguely or ill-defined, to be quite honest, right? It can be a little bit confusing sometimes to people. But from your perspective and from Ty's perspective, what is the visibility over your internal operations and the marketing capacity? What does that mean to you, and what are you guys bringing to the table?
Yeah, and you're right. It's been a huge buzzword to talk about shipment visibility, so tracking the drivers. But what about visibility over everything? And so you just had Melissa Forman talking about different companies being laser focused on what they do well, and our goal is to pull all of those resources into one place, right? So we're your TMS. We're supposed to be, give you the best workflow and connect you to all those tools. But we need a way to make sure that all those tools communicate and items are being filed together so that you're not missing any opportunities. Just for an example, if you're looking for coverage on a load, most companies have a process of, kind of writing down things in a notebook. And so when they reach out to their network and say, I need a quote for this lane, they're not really entering it into their system until they actually get it covered. And there's a ton of brokers doing that right now. And we think they're missing a major opportunity to capture a bunch of data, and the early adopters are getting the advantage of gathering their own network data and always seeing it. So, just for example, our system allows you to email your entire network from one page, post to the load board on the same page, and then even pull in capacity from Trucker Tools or Parade or DAT, pull it all on one page and make sure that when you request those quotes, you capture all those quotes, whether you book with them or not. And that's going to help you increase your network. It's going to help you build better relationships, and you're not missing out on the data. The data is it's really important not to miss those opportunities, because as we move into the future over the next 3 to 5 years, I really think everybody's going to need that rate intelligence. And there's all kinds of cool products that we're trying to bring together to make the full truckload broker's life easier.
Well, so how are, what are brokers doing right and what are they doing wrong to get better visibility into their carrier network?
Yeah, I think a big mistake can be, your inbox lives over here and your load boards live over here, and you end up with a process that, your database is in one spot. So you're looking through your database and then you're going over here to actually get the quote. And so we want to make it so that that's not the case. We want to make it so that there's you're pulling all those tools together. So when you say, what are people doing right? I think anytime you email a carrier, anytime you email your customer, we want to pull that into one place. I think the wrong way to do it is to record it in a notebook or have it in your inbox and not have a way to pull that data in together.
So, Sean, aside from Sonar, obviously Sonar, how are they getting visibility into the market rates and conditions?
Yeah, so and that is one way, and we do integrate with Sonar, so it's a good little pitch. And then there's other, like there's DAT, there's Trucker Tools, there's Internet Truck Stop, there's Parade, and all of these companies do what they do really well. And Melissa said it earlier, they're all laser focused on what they do well, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to connect you to all those tools and make it so that if you did post to a load board and you go to that load in your TMS, you should be able to see that. You should be able to see that it was posted to each one of those load boards, and you should be able to see every quote that came in from it. And if you dispatched it through one of those systems, you should be able to see that visibility. And then when you start tracking it, that should also feed into your activity log. There's so many opportunities to just make sure it's streamlined. And we think that gives brokers scalability, because if it's all separate, then it's really hard to train one new person on how to do what you do well. Brokers do such a good job of the knowledge is in their head. There's so many moving parts, and the brokers that are really good, they have it dialed in their own way. But how do you make it so that you can bring in new people and put them in that seat, and all that knowledge that's in your head is now in one place? And so I think that's what's really important about pulling those tools together and making sure, so whatever you're using, whether it's HubTran for your documentation, whether it's Parade for your capacity or Trucker Tools for your capacity, you need to be able to see that in one place. You can't you don't want to have a million tabs open and make this have a fragmented workflow. We want to pull that into one place, have a nice activity log for every email that went out related to that shipment, every post that happened, every quote that you got, and store all that into one shipment profile in that activity log. And that's what I think gives our customers a competitive advantage over just being able to see their entire network, their entire internal operation.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about networks, though, let's say this is baseball. That's your infield, right? You can see the infield. But what about the outfields, right? What about outside your network and gaining visibility there?
Yeah, that's important. I mean, so and that's where if you're utilizing, a lot of the load boards have moved toward like some kind of book it now or some kind of smart capacity type tool where you can search through their network. So if you don't have enough trucking companies in your network to cover a particular lane, we don't want you to have to go to some other load board to get that information and then record it. We want you to be able to hit a button that brings the network from one of those load boards into the same screen that you would be utilizing your own network for. And now you have all of those companies in order. You can email them and you can capture all of that lane intelligence. So whether you end up choosing to book with them or not, if you sent out, if it's a brand new lane and you pulled in 100 carriers from DAT or Truck Stop or any of these other integrations, you bring them all into one screen, you email them out. And, if you email 100 of them, we want to make sure that everybody who quotes you, maybe it's only 50, but you capture all 50 of those quotes without having to do a bunch of data entry to get it. And so that'll contribute to your intelligence moving forward. You might only book with one of them, but at least you captured 50 brand new quotes for a lane that you've never run before, and you did it in a couple minutes with all the tools that you already use, but we bring it into one page for you.
Wow. Hey, Sean, we really appreciate it. Thanks for teaching us a little bit about visibility and getting inside and outside the carrier network. What's your website?
Yeah, you can visit us at tie-software.com. And if you're looking for a demo, there's a button there. But if you're just looking for some general resources, you can go to tie-software.com/resources. And we're really trying to just, even if you're a customer or not, we're trying to, thank you.
Thanks, Sean. We appreciate it. Hey, now we got to jump over to JB Hunt's Chief Commercial Officer, EVP of People and HR, FreightWaves Live keynote speaker, Shelley Simpson. Shelley, it's an honor to have you on What the Truck once again.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thrilled to be on.
Hey, we wanted to talk to you about something really interesting because Michael Vincent and I, we were opening up our calendars. We're like, when should we take a little time off? When should we take a vacation? But we were thinking about it. And a lot of employees, they were in virtual world. They were remote. And it can feel a little awkward coming back into the office and almost immediately being like, hey, I want to take off for a week.
Yeah.
So let's talk.
Wait, you just came back into the office. You're going to take off?
Let's talk a little bit about work-life balance. How is that a cultural thing?
Well, let's talk about it because I'm sitting here in Tucson, Arizona on vacation.
Oh,
and,
congratulations.
And hanging out with my sister and her family and enjoying graduation for my nephew. So,
nice.
I think you're witnessing work and life being integrated right here on this call. And so I'm not a big believer in balance. I think balance means you have to trade something off. But I think when you can integrate your life, the priorities in your life, and make sure people understand what that looks like, I think, it makes us a healthy individual and certainly healthy in the business. And, I've tried to operate that for several years personally, but I also think for our people. But I can see why people are probably nervous to come back in the office, but also, what does that look like to be on vacation? But I think that the more we can integrate our lives, I think the healthier we are as individuals.
Now, that's very interesting that you poo-pooed the balance and said integration is more important. I think that's a brilliant insight. Can you speak a little bit about what, we talk about highway to health, and we talk about this in HR for many years. The HR departments have been recognizing the importance of physical health, right? And promoting physical health, obviously. But mental health, what responsibilities do leaders such as yourself take on and should take on as far as helping their employees with their mental health aspect?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. As you know, May is Mental Health Month. And especially during this pandemic, it has been heightened even more how critical it is that we help our people really being able to bring their whole selves to work. And, I've always said, I hear this saying, leave your work at work and your home at home. And that never worked for me. I don't even understand what that totally means because if something's going on like the pandemic and trying to balance being at home with kids running around, trying to keep dogs quiet and still trying to meet the objectives of customers and what our employees think, I do think that as employers, if we can step in and have those conversations better, that we can help our people be healthier. And I think that's an important component of what we can do.
I completely agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. I've had my own struggles. I did actually an entire TED Talk about it. I was actually reading this really interesting thing on Twitter, and they said within 10 years, an on-site therapist at major companies is going to be standard.
Oh, is that
and
right?
I think this is an interesting topic, Shelley, because when you think of HR is great, but not everybody feels comfortable talking about all of their issues with HR because there's still that company component. Do you think that at some point therapy is going to become kind of the norm within companies, a sort of safer space for someone to speak through their issues?
I think that's a good point. And, that's one of the things that we emphasize to our team. Right when the pandemic hit, we actually offer 8 free sessions from a counseling center there in Northwest Arkansas that also can go virtual to anywhere in the U.S. for any of our people for any reason. And that allows them just one step removed from being directly with someone at JB Hunt and allows that privacy to have those conversations. That's something that our Senior VP of HR and his team have set up and we've had in place for several years now. But I think that was so important to highlight that to our teams to say, listen, we're going to give you 8 free sessions. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. If it's the pandemic, if it's, work-life balance, whatever those things are that you're struggling with, we want to make sure those are open to you. So we've done it from that perspective, but I can see where other organizations might be doing that directly as an employee inside their organization.
Yeah, good points. You know, it takes many times it takes an event like a pandemic to move things forward.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, big stress on society causes advancements, and in this field here, the pandemic. What do you think we learned, or what did you learn as far as from the great work from home experiment, as far as what we need for productivity, cultural adaptation, right? Employee well-being, as you put it, that can be applied moving forward, even as we come back to the office.
Well, I mean, there's so much talk, especially in our industry, about the disruption of technology. And certainly we are big believers in how we can disrupt our old ways of thinking to really accelerate how we can do it better in our future. But the one thing that we have never subscribed to is that technology will take over people, and relationships matter. And during this pandemic, you really saw that, how critical it was in our relationships, building each other up as teammates, as, a boss, manager / coworkers, or even across the other companies. I saw a lot more collaboration happen across the organizations. And I think this whole notion that, we have to win, and we have to win at 100%, whoever that is. Of course, we're all competitive, but there's enough business for all of us out there. So how do we think about solving our people problems and our challenges as an industry more together than separately? I think when we can do that, we're going to be a lot more powerful in making lasting change overall. And then lastly, I'm very thankful that we highlighted really the heartbeat of not just our organization, but the entire industry, really how wonderful the drivers did. They didn't get an opportunity to work from home. As you know, 20,000 of our 30,000 people are professional drivers, and they've been on the road every single day since the pandemic. They are on the road on behalf of all of us, making sure that they deliver on the promises that we've made. And I think that was a great highlight for us as an industry.
Shelley, you talk about leadership, and, sometimes you have a boss on LinkedIn who's like, hustle to death, hustle until you die.
Yeah.
Shelley's out there putting up like Denzel Washington quotes about, how your family is more important than work. But you also posted something that I thought was super interesting, and it was a key decision for every person. Want ethic versus work ethic. That was from Eric Musselman. And you wrote, many dreams are never fulfilled because of the wrong side of this decision making. Shed some light on that.
Yeah. So, if you were able to come to my office, I've had the opportunity this month, actually in 5 days, to celebrate my 27th anniversary in the organization. And
all right.
I've had the opportunity to represent the company in so many different ways. I have all sorts of plaques and trophies that say Carrier of the Year or Technology, a Provider of the Year, whatever those things are. And those are very exciting. I'm really proud of those. But there is one plaque that hangs in my office right underneath my 25th anniversary picture, which is so near and dear to me, signed by every single person in the company that I think really influenced my career. Underneath that is my 1989 Ladies Cyclone Basketball Hustle Award that was given to me. And I remember back when I was very young, you start to size yourself up. You start to realize where your talent is versus everyone else, just the God-given talent. And that's not something I can necessarily change to get up to that same level. But there's one thing that is not God-given. It's a choice we make in life. And it's the level of effort that we put towards living out our best life every single day. And I'm such a big believer on do everything you have at 100% or just don't do it at all. And work ethic / hustle is like, it drives me every day. I think it's the most under talked about. It does not mean give up your family. It does not mean give something up. I hustle. I have work ethic in my home, in my church, in my community, the things that are key to me as to who I am as an individual. And in my mind, I just can't imagine if you have a choice, and this can really differentiate not just who you are, but make you such a better human being. That hustle or that work ethic, to me, there's a lot of wants. Everybody wants, but if you can't put any work ethic behind it, it's hard for me to fathom.
Yeah, and it's an energy thing too. If you consume all of your energy into just wanting, instead put it into action, put it into motion. It's going to be incremental. It's going to take time, but you're also going to make progress and you're going to feel more fulfilled. And that energy turns really negative, that wants, because you know what happens, Shelley? Nothing will come to you. Nothing will come, and then you're going to be extremely upset. We're going to let you get back to vacation, but we hope to see you. We're going to see you at F3, right, in November?
Yes, you are.
Excellent.
Beautiful. Well, you said it's a graduation, so a little cowbell for the graduate, very lucky person.
Absolutely.
We'll let you get back to break. We got to give away a coffee maker, but once again, thank you so much for joining us here.
Important things like giving away coffee makers.
Yeah, we got to give away a coffee maker. Hey, it's a $1,500 coffee maker.
Thank you, Shelley.
All right, should we give it away?
Yeah,
because then you guys are gonna have lunch, and then part 2 of what the truck
quit wanting to give it away and let's do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I want to give it away. Here I am wanting. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. It's the Mealy Coffee Maker. This thing is $1,500.
Holy mackerel.
It's Whacker Chemicals. Andrew Owens. He's a logistics engineer. He's going to need to stay caffeinated for a job like that.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Not saying anything about engineers.
He just lives right up the road. We could go over there and enjoy some of that coffee tomorrow.
Hey, everybody, go enjoy some lunch. Click down right below where you're watching this. Click on Icebreakers and go meet some friends. Go meet some connections. Go find me on LinkedIn at Timothy Dooner, DOONER. Find him at Michael Vincent. Make your first 2 connections right here. We'll catch you after lunch. Good lunch, did some networking, made some new friends, and all of that kind of thing. Once again, we'd like to thank TriumphPay. TriumphPay is committed to providing efficiency and value to all of their customers. With the upcoming acquisition of HubTran, their combined company will create a fully integrated payments network for the transportation industry, including factors, brokers, and carriers.
Yeah.
Where should they visit?
You know what? They should visit TriumphPay.com to learn how we can drive your business forward together.
Oh, nice.
Immediately after the show. Yeah, I'm in.
Hey, speaking of awards, you see this title here. Guess what else you can win? Shipper of Choice. Shipper of Choice award right here. Right?
Do that
End
again?
of show. We're giving that away. Someone's giving it away. Andrew Cox is giving that away.
Is he really?
Yeah, but no, we're giving away. We're giving away another prize. You want it?
All right. What are we giving away?
Forget it. Oh, you do? Okay, sorry. All right, let's give it away. Coming up with a Sony 85-inch X88 Series LED 4K UHD Smart Android TV.
Easy for you to say.
Roanoke Trades. Rick Bridges. Rick, come on
go,
down.
Rick.
You got a brand new TV to watch What the Truck on.
Must be present to win.
We're going to look stellar. Now, it's What the Truck. Come back from lunch. We'll look at a couple things that are going to make you say What the Truck. The first one here is an arrest has been made in regards to what happened here. Check out what this truck just did. Oh, no. Okay, this is a different one. This is a bus crash. So FedEx and a K-Trans bus accident in Tennessee at Johnson Street sent one rider to the hospital with non-life-threatening injury, structural damage to the building. We have 2 more pictures to show on this one. Let's take a look at them right here. Yeah. Check it out. Look at that damage right there.
Like side by side veer or veer away from each other? I mean,
they did. And let's take a look at the FedEx truck. Boom. Yeah, that took a damage too.
Not good.
By the way, did I ever tell you I think the most perfectly designed logo ever is the FedEx logo with that arrow between the X on there?
Oh, yeah. You're exactly right.
All right, now let's take a look at the drunk truck, the one that took out some power lines. Look at this guy. This guy took out a bunch of power lines. He's a 42-year-old male from Clay City, New York. He was arrested on May 18th on Wells Avenue West at Belmore Drive after investigators charged him with driving while impaired by drugs and alcohol and violating restrictions of the commercial vehicle use on village roadways. Tractor trailer was towed, and National Grid and Verizon were on the scene dealing with those down poles and power lines.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's not good. Don't drive drunk, people.
And here's one. Just keep an eye on the road on the highway. This one.
This one's crazy.
Yeah, let's play this video right here. We'll talk over it. So the SUVs going down the road, a truck wheel. Now these things are designed to hold like 80,000 pounds, right?
They weigh a bit too, yeah.
Like, remember, we saw these things. We had Alcoa. Alcoa was on What the Truck on Monday. They showed us how these things were made and all the stress tests. Well, this car, he's driving towards the wheel, has no chance to react to it, so just goes straight into it, probably assuming he's going to knock it out of the way. Instead, he goes ass over tea kettle underneath this wheel, flipping the SUV over.
The wheel's just still rolling straight down the road.
Yeah, fortunately, fortunately, everyone in there, I believe, was wearing their seatbelt. They landed, miraculously, it looks like they landed okay. They only had a couple rolls there. I think the roll cage took care of them, but gosh.
That is insane, man. You would think they would just bounce it out of the way, and I'm sure that's what that driver was thinking.
I would think so, too.
Wow.
Now, we're going to replay an interview real quick here from yesterday. There was a little technical difficulties.
We're going to replay it? Okay,
we're
good.
coming back from lunch, but before we get there, something I was talking about during lunch with Kevin Hill was this. Talk about the bullwhip effect. We talk about it all the time with Mr. Supply Chain, right?
Okay, yeah.
I don't know about you, but look at this. I got my vacation shirt on. Shelley Simpson was on vacation.
Yeah.
How much money is everyone moving out of goods now and going back to services, vacation spas?
We don't know yet,
CNN, 80 lipstick sales up 80% in the past month as people are getting back out.
Lipstick sales up 80%.
Lipstick sales. Up 80%.
Wow.
People are going back out. People are going places. I know on my spreadsheet, I took all that like sort of discretionary income, moved it right over into the other column, and I got to take trips to Boston, right?
Yeah.
CDC said we can go overseas. I might go to Florence next year.
That's
Not
true.
this year. But I still got to save up for it.
Yeah.
So what do you think, though? You think a lot of people that this income's going to be moving away from this, and then we're going to have a lot of issues where the inventory to sales ratio flips and the CDL schools open up and the truck economy crashes a little bit?
I don't know. We're so top. The inventory to sales ratio is so small right now. I don't know.
I think it could happen. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it could happen. We're in an industry that likes to forget things sometimes.
I think we are. We have got short memories, and we
Yeah.
have forecasting models that don't always work. We talk about visibility, but that doesn't mean visibility is always a great thing if you're not looking at the data properly. And if you're forecasting off older models, you could be in some trouble. But right now, Angela Mancuso from AIT Worldwide Logistics, we're going to replay our conversation with her talking about labor.
Hi, guys. How are you?
So challenging. I mean, we're doing great. You're having the hard time because you're in that human or maybe you're not. Maybe you've cracked the code. All we hear about from everyone is complaining about getting workers. I even saw, Mad Money?
Yes.
He's complaining on his own account that he can't hire people to go work over at CNBC. Crazy. Yeah. What's going on in the hiring market? Let us inside a little bit. What are the challenges right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're different than any other employer out there. For us in particular, though, our business was down slightly last year, but in all honesty, we've really been thriving from last summer. I think partly of that is depending on what solutions third-party logistics providers focus on. For us in particular, we've seen spikes in our e-commerce, our food delivery, and our pharmaceutical space. So we never really took our foot off the gas too much when it came to hiring talent. And I think the most important thing was preserving jobs. We made our best effort to make sure during the pandemic that we were keeping as many of our teammates as possible, knowing that we were going to come into a tight competitive labor market. So I don't think we're experiencing any of different challenges than anybody else out there. Applications are down. We're seeing roughly about 15% of our applications coming through our applicant tracking system, less than obviously last year. I think across the board, you have candidates that are more risk averse, as you guys were already talking about, right? Trying to figure out I'm collecting unemployment, I'm getting a stimulus. Potentially you have some e-learning responsibilities or childcare responsibilities. So trying to see that through whether or not someone is going to take on a new opportunity. Same thing, I think, with passive talent. So we consider passive talent, right? Someone that is not actively looking for a position. They're out there working. They might be happy where they're working. Same thing for us when we reach out to passive talent. I think they're just kind of going to see what's happening out there in the market and in their state related to COVID protocol before they're going to go and make any kind of change. So we see where they're willing to have a conversation, but it's not really going any farther than just that initial conversation.
Interesting. So, Angela, you heard Dooner talking about, the reports that some of the responsibilities that have grown during the pandemic, the e-learning, et cetera, that you even talked about, and childcare responsibilities disproportionately falling towards towards women during this pandemic, right? Are you seeing that in the trends of recruiting and affecting your recruiting as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the last stats I saw, it's the lowest percentage of available female applicant pool since 1988.
Wow.
I mean, that's a problem for all of us where diversity in your hiring is an important company goal. It is for us. I think females in warehousing roles, which is hard to find anyway, as it is. I mean, that's down by 20,000 applicants across the board just for warehousing roles. So it's a goal for us as an organization. I mean, we have 50% of our organization is female across the globe. We're really proud of that. I think given the male-dominated
Let me give you a little shout-out for that. That's pretty good. I mean, this is male-dominated industry,
good,
and I think
right?
one of the reasons Michael Vincent and I really liked that question and wanted to ask you about it is we constantly, you mentioned diversity, and all we're talking about is gender diversity here. We're not even talking about race diversity, religious diversity, any of those. We're just talking about gender. We're an industry that needs more women in it, and then you have something like this come along. It makes it a lot more challenging for someone like you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we keep track of kind of our new hires. So we're down by about 8% when we look year over year in terms of females being hired into the organization. So it's impacting us, not drastically, but I think the difference is, and I encourage every company to do that, you have to make a concerted effort to go after and try to find them, right? If they're not coming, if females are not automatically applying for whatever reason, then what are you doing to proactively go out and try to secure that talent?
Yeah, you got to go look for them.
Well, and in tight markets, beggars can't be choosers too, but
true.
you got to get more strategic. You got to be smarter about it. So what are some of the strategies that you were using to attract new candidates?
Yeah, good question. A couple different things. I mean, passive searching is really important for us. And in our case, we involve the managers. A lot of people think it's HR's job to go out and find new people. And really, it's everyone's job in the organization. I want to work with top talent. I think everyone else wants to work with top talent. So we also involve our hiring managers. Every candidate out there is being reached out to by a recruiter. There's a million different recruiters out there, and they're all getting the same message. But when you actually hear from a vice president or a director of a company saying, hey, I have an opening on my team, I'm interested in your background, come work for me, it makes a big difference when you are sourcing talent. So we try to involve and make it a partnership between HR and our hiring managers to say, we need your help, right? It's at the end of the day, it's your position you're trying to fill. So let's do that together. Couple other things that we're doing is employee referral programs. You don't have to have an expensive program. If you have teammates that enjoy working for you and feel like you have a good culture and a good work environment, they should automatically be referring people. Roughly about 40% of our new hires come from employee referrals. So we continue to tap into that. The latest thing that we're doing is launching pilot programs with some local schools. I mean, let's face it, supply chain isn't one of those first career choices for high school students or college students, right? So I think all of us as leaders within the industry, how do we share our stories? How do we talk about the opportunities in the industry to try to create some of that young talent to kind of come our way and join the industry?
Yeah, so those are all interesting things there, Angela, and thank you for those insights. And it's really no secret that the best thing to do, or one of the best things you can do, is maintain, right?
Yeah.
Keep your employees, and retention is there. Building a strong team is important, and maintaining a workforce. What are some of the best practices that really a logistics company in particular, since this is what we're talking about, should be doing to build those teams and create and maintain a resilient workforce?
Yeah, good question. I don't think that's specific though to logistics companies. I think that's all companies. And it's, do your employees feel like they have meaningful work? Do they feel like they know that they're making a positive impact on the organization and whatever your strategy is? It's a lot easier to kind of go along for the ride per se, right? And weather that storm with your employer when you feel like you know what you're in it for, and you know how your role plays an impact in that. So I think that's what we focus on. And communication, be transparent, talk about the change, embrace the change, talk about what your company's doing related to the change, right? To kind of get everybody on board. And the last thing I would say is ask your people for feedback, right? I mean, you're not going to know what you need to do differently unless you're getting a sentiment in terms of how do people actually feel. So we survey our teammates once a year on how we're doing from a culture and a core values perspective. And it's based upon a lot of that feedback where we roll out programs across the organization. One of the biggest programs we just launched last year was a recognition program.
Wow.
And that came from feedback from our teammates to say, hey, it's something that we're not doing well. So how do we improve and make that better? And now it's one of the most popular programs we have.
Nice.
Well, Angela, we like what we're hearing. It's no secret. It's an employee's market right now. Someone likes what they're hearing. They say, you know what? I want to see what my value is worth. I want to check out what Angela's got going on. We're out of time, but where should we send them to?
AITworldwide.com and check out our careers page.
Yeah. Go out there and see what you're worth. Go find out. Yeah. AIT sounds pretty good. Angela, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Joining us now is Freight's multi-instrumentalist. It is Trey Griggs. He's the VP of Lean Sales over at Lean Solutions Group. Hey, Trey, I heard you're over in that icebreaker having a good time. You learn anything new in there? Did you make any friends? Did you network?
Oh, absolutely. Met a few new people. But most importantly, we discussed F3 and the fact that we need to have some comedians as a part of this Woodstock Festival. So I don't know if that's on the docket yet, but Mike Ledger, Andrew Heaton, really funny guys. We need to get them on the stage. We had a great time. It was fun.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
So Trey, tell us a little bit about it. I like that you do take your platform time here to strum for other people, like the Chris Jollies of the world,
absolutely.
and the comedians and the icebreaker. But let's talk about you a little bit. This is your time. So tell us a little bit about Lean's growth, right? Share some milestones with us. What's been happening?
Well, it's been exciting. As many people know, the freight industry is still really strong. There's a lot of freight out there, obviously causing a few headaches, but a lot of companies are growing in ways that they didn't anticipate. We're actually one of those companies that's going through that. We're doing a lot of work to shore up our operations. We're hiring managers. We're streamlining a lot of our operations to be able to support all of our customers, and just seeing them grow is really exciting. We love being a part of that. We love being an integral part of their growth and their strategy. And so seeing them grow is awesome. We just reached the 3,000 employee milestone down in Colombia, South America. So very excited about that. Just topped the 200 customers mark. So our growth in 2021 has been fantastic. And we're going through the growth pains as everybody does, but very exciting time at Lean.
That's awesome. So what do you, Trey, what do you contribute to the success of Lean?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, we're very customer centric. We want to spend a lot of time with our customers. We want, we're not the type of a vendor who, once you sign up with us, it's hands off. We're very much hands on. We spend a lot of time talking to our customers and building the relationship, building trust. That's really important. And then secondly, on the other side, we treat the employees in Colombia very, very well. They get paid well. They get great benefits. We give them a gym membership and other things like that. So our retention is very high in that regard. So it's a combination of really taking care of our customers and also taking care of our team. And when you do that, I think that's a recipe for success no matter what business you're in.
Now, I can't help but notice you're in a different environment today. Usually you're the six-string samurai with a guitar hanging on the wall, but today you're are you like an Italian? Are you in Colombia? Are you an Italian restaurant? I noticed the painting over there. Where are you right now?
Who knows? Where in the world is Trey Griggs? That's a great question just about any day. I'm actually in Kansas City. I'm at my parents' home. They're not here right now, but I'm with them, spending some time this week before we go on our long RV trip. We're hanging out here and having a good time. So this is the artwork from my parents. That's I don't know where they got it or if they even know what it is, but that's what's up on the wall there.
Now, Trey, so this is interesting. You mentioned vacation, a lot of people moving about, coming back to offices, but people taking time off. Supply chain right now is crazy, right? It's a big dumpster fire. Maybe automation, some processes can help here, especially with your workforce wanting to get out, go and experience life. And also just the increasing cost of labor to convince people to come back to the office in the first place. How can Lean help there, Trey?
Yeah, it's huge. Well, wages are rising here in the States because people aren't going back to work. Just kind of the nature of it, businesses are having to pay more for less quality talent. I think that's what happens when prices go up. And so we're able to provide incredible employees at lightning speed in terms of getting them hired, getting them onboarded and trained for companies, especially those entry-level tasks, those repetitive tasks of order entry and track and trace and some of those features, carrier sales we're doing now, recruiting. We're doing driver recruiting for a lot of companies. And so it's just a huge benefit because we take the headache out of hiring and do it at a fraction of the cost. So, with prices going up, with people not going back to work for whatever reason, whether it's summer vacations or whether it's the continued unemployment benefits from the government, we're able to help a lot of companies, and people are turning to that. They're turning to alternatives, and we're one of those. So it's been great.
That's a good point. With the unemployment benefits, people you see for hire all over the place and talk about people that are struggling.
All over.
So they really do, Trey. And you guys do obviously solve that headache. Agreed 100%. How do you overcome the headache or the fear that outsourcing, these people are handling my business, but they really don't know my business that well?
Well, see, that's where we're completely unique. A typical outsourcing model, you basically just ask a company to do tasks for you. You don't care who does it. You don't care, if they throw different bodies at it every day. You just want the task done. That's where we're completely different. In a nearshoring model, these employees are dedicated to you. They become a part of your team. Our clients send down swag, T-shirts with their logos on it. They come visit. They're on daily, scrum calls. They're on video chats. They're in, the text chats as well. And so all of that really allows the Colombian employees to really feel a part of the U.S. Company and the U.S. team. We use icebreakers or gather around software as well to help with those relationships with the Colombian members as well as the U.S. team members. So it's not outsourcing like you would think of it. It really is a satellite office for you, and you're able to maintain that culture and control. And again, that's why I think it's so successful is that the companies don't lose control. They gain the employees who do a great job, do cost savings. Again, not having to worry about recruiting, not having to worry about hiring, the paperwork of onboarding new employees, payroll taxes, just all that stuff is off of their plate.
Now, Trey, what do you say when you get that neg or that sort of concern about I'm not sure if I want to do outsourcing or use a satellite office or have this done out of country? How do you smooth those concerns over?
Yeah, well, first we get it, right? It's something new, and it's like jumping in a pool of water. You don't know how cold it is. You kind of want to dip your toes a little bit, see what's going on there, at first. And so we totally understand that. We're not high pressure in any way in that regard. What we do is we encourage our prospects who are interested, who think it's somewhat intriguing, to reach out to our current customers. We have some incredible customers who we can send as a reference, so they can ask questions and really get a feel for it. And then secondly, especially when things open up, we invite all of our customers and prospects to come to Colombia, see it with your own eyes, talk to the employees, see the facilities, and really get a feel for it. That's actually when the light bulb comes on for a lot of companies. And they go, oh, this makes perfect sense. So we totally understand it's something new. People want to dip their toes a little bit. We'll work with them at whatever speed that they have. But we've got a lot of great customers who will talk about their experiences in an honest way, and we invite them to come and see it for themselves. And that seems to work really well for us.
Excellent stuff. I would imagine that over the past year, you saw some really accelerated growth. Like you said, you hit a bunch of milestones. Are you predicting that to continue into the future, that accelerated growth, as people start to realize just how effective of a tool this can be?
Yeah, we do. There's always things that can occur, but we don't see this slowing down, because even with technology continuing to become a part of the transportation industry, which is a great sign, we need more technology and we need to automate processes. It still doesn't take away the need for people to do certain tasks and or to manage that technology. And so we don't see a slowdown in growth. There could be a kind of a change maybe in strategy of what those employees do. But yeah, this, right now, if things continue, which we're projecting that they're going to continue well through 2021 and probably into 2022, seeing our customers continue to grow and needing more support. We anticipate, at least for the next 12 to 18 months, it's not going to change too much. We anticipate quite a bit of growth, and we're looking at getting to 10,000 employees. That's our next milestone.
Awesome. I think it's time for the wheel of stupid
spin
questions.
The wheel.
We got to
spin it around, round and round it goes.
I think
where it lands.
I think I'm 0 for 4 on the wheel of stupid questions. I don't think I've gotten one of these right.
There's no stupid answers, just stupid people who answer these questions. Would you volunteer?
I fit that bill pretty well.
Would you volunteer to do a dunk the Trey Griggs dunk tank at F3?
Oh, that's the easiest question you guys have given me. Without a doubt, I would do that. I would sign up for that in a hurry. I would have some specifications, though. I don't want the normal dunk tank. This is FreightWaves. This is F3. I want to fall from about 20 feet every time into about a 10-foot pool, so that it's real, like everybody can see it. I'm up above the crowd, just get a lot of attention. So, of course, I'm an attention seeker, as you know. So I'm absolutely in for that. Let's get a big pool, 20 feet off the ground. Let's go for it.
How about if we just sell balloons random to the crowd, and like you're walking around, people can just nail you with a water balloon, and they make $5 goes to a charity.
Trey, thank you so much. Trey, how do people reach out? How do people reach out and learn more?
Definitely visit our website, leangroup.com, leangroup.com, as well as on LinkedIn. We're all on there. tgriggs@leangroup.com. Look forward to seeing all of you soon.
Thanks, Trey. Well, Trey wants to innovate the dunk tank. Now we're going to talk to Eric Rempel. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at Redwood. And actually, I saw something really cool. He is reading Thinking in Bets by Annie Dukes. It's a really interesting book. Most people tell you to have like a chess match in life. This talks more about life being a poker game, right, Eric? You enjoying that book?
Loving that book. How you guys doing?
What's happening, man?
Doing great.
How you doing over there? I love the LPaaS thing, too. We got to hear all about it just yesterday at the event. But if someone missed it, let us inside a little bit. What is LPaaS?
Yeah, LPaaS is really just Redwood and what we've been doing for the last 10 years. And ever since we've introduced Redwood Connect kind of as the core of our integration strategy, we're all about integrating the world of logistics, which is where we all live, with the rapidly changing world of technology and all of the choices out there, and really just making it easier for shippers to get the most amount of value out of that with the least amount of risk. It's really as simple as that. And we help them with logistics. We help them with technology, because for the last 20 years, we've lived at the intersection of those two worlds.
So, Eric, we talk about automation and investing in technology, trying to lower your costs and stuff like that. And you shouldn't just go out there to do, you got to have a plan, right? To make these things happen. You buy technology and not get anything out of it. In your estimation, what is the focal issue preventing companies really from unlocking a more significant ROI from those investments in technology and lowering costs and greater automation?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think to your point, everyone wants a plan. They want to measure twice and they cut once. But in reality, everyone wants to do more with less, right? They want more out of it. They want the ROI from it, and they want it as quickly as possible. And most importantly, they want it to just work. So, I think that the biggest thing is, can you configure and implement the technology choices that you make for your supply chain, for your logistics solutions, and then have a strategy in place for how you automate it and bring the right logistics services into that solution. And even with those, you can't really get beyond having another great system or another great piece of technology without that solid connectivity strategy.
Yeah, and that's a big deal too, especially as more and more in-house platforms are made, more services are put on the market. They don't always work in sync, right? And what are the issues when they don't work in sync?
Yeah, I mean, any technology choice always introduces a massive layer of risk, right? Change by default just equals risk, almost to what you were talking about with, thinking in bets, right? Like everything is a bet, and it's really how well prepared are you for that. And so without, solid connectivity, you can't automate those workflows. You can't, automate what people do in between those systems. And without that connectivity being real time, like really fast real time, you can't be certain that what you're working on isn't already solved. So it's really about reducing all of that risk so that when these systems are in place, people feel comfortable because, to the point earlier from the gentleman from Lean, it really requires good people to execute on these technology strategies. And that's what we're all about delivering.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of those tools that Redwood is delivering to solve those connectivity issues and improve that productivity.
Yeah, so I think some of our new and noteworthy stuff, which is really exciting that we're delivering for our logistics customers, is like our digital rating APIs, real-time rates that we honor across anywhere in the country. We're adding additional modes to that. Our data science, our pricing, we're automating how we look at capacity with machine learning algorithms, and we're making those APIs native and easily accessible to our customers, not only through Redwood Connect, but we're including them right into some of the world's best TMSs that you'll find in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. So that's just a little bit of what we're doing with LPaaS. But if you zoom out from that for a little bit, the bigger picture is we've got the world of logistics, right, that we like to call, one hemisphere of the world, right, or the northern hemisphere if you check out the LPaaS menu on our website. And inside of that, it's Redwood Logistics' services, it's our competitors, it's anyone that offers value to a shipper that offers logistics services. And then there's that whole southern world of technology where, it's ranging from, traditional old world stuff from how do I make EDI easier to how do I aggregate, visibility providers like Project 44 into my ecosystem? How do I implement an Oracle TMS, right? Doing all of that is really tough. And so with Redwood Connect at our core and a huge part of our strategy, LPaaS is now becoming a way to look at your digital logistics strategy. So we're helping companies procure better, ship, track, pay, how they look at data and how they weave in their enterprise systems. And so through all of this, we're really just trying to make logistics and getting the most value out of your digital supply chain in addition to your physical supply chain a lot less riskier and a lot less complex. We just want it to work.
I think the mistake that a lot of people make when they're talking about SaaS and new tech products is they love to showcase the inputs, right? Inputs, features. But if I'm a shipper, right, and I'm buying something, I care about the outputs. I care about the results, right? So what kind of results can shippers expect to get out of LPaaS? Because it does sound really cool.
Yeah, I think there's major results, but I think it's unfair to say that everyone gets the same result because every shipper is different. And that is the problem with our industry and its fragmentation, right? So for us, the key is open. It has to be open. The choices have to be, easy, but also, important to each individual company that uses them. So we look at it in terms of three main value drivers and what they get out of it. They get optionality, right? So you don't get locked into a logistics service provider. You don't get locked into a tech solution. It's easy to plug and play your tech just as easily it is to swap out a carrier. But also profitability. We look at this as more than just savings, right? With LPaaS, we're really helping organizations operate more profitably by adopting new innovations and bringing them into their organization. So they just have a more valuable enterprise in addition to simply saving on freight and obviously control, right? With the combination of our ability to orchestrate how logistics works, but also orchestrate how systems are connected in those solutions, they get that control that they're looking for. They get the best practice playbooks, and they get the ability to really wrangle their supply chain.
Excellent, Eric. So looking forward, what's on the horizon? What are the key priorities for Redwood?
Yeah, I think for us, we're just maniacally focused on making connectivity easier for our customers, and therefore making things faster and faster and easier, which means less cost and more value. So what we're doing is we're continuing to add digital logistics capabilities, right? So I mentioned our rating APIs that give real-time rates that you can execute on instantly, handling the spot market that's going on right now. But also we're bringing in some really exciting new SaaS partners into the world, right? So other organizations that want to work with Redwood and say, hey, leveraging Connect, can I offer my technology to a larger subset of shippers, to a larger group of LSPs and even carriers that, I want to be able to, have instant connectivity into my platform versus the traditional integration. So building out our network, building out our partnerships, adding more logistics capabilities, both digital and traditional. It's just about making shippers' lives easier and making logistics, the fun thing that we love to do, but making it easier and more valuable.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us at FreightWaves Live at Home. I'm sure we're going to see you in November at F3.
Cannot wait.
Oh, yeah.
Cannot wait. Big red circle on my calendar there.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And hey, you want to join us at F3? Of course you do.
Of course you do.
Let's get back in person. We're all buying lipstick. Some of us are buying, 80% more people
I might buy
lipstick.
pants for it.
Yeah, I'll buy pants for it.
Yeah,
I'll get out of the shorts. You can't see behind
maybe
the
shorts. We'll see. It's November.
Go to live.freightwaves.com, click on F3, use promo code WTT. You'll save yourself $200 on a ticket. All right, now let's talk to Deepak Patnaik, Senior Product Marketing Manager over at Here. And he's here at home right here, right now. Hey, Deepak, how's it going?
Hi, guys. I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. Where are you joining us from?
I'm in the Berlin office of our company, Technologies. And what's that?
I was going to say beautiful. Is the supply chain a complete dumpster fire over there like it is over here in the United States right now, every mode of transportation?
No, it's not so bad. I think, I guess German efficiency, but also it's a lot better in Europe these days, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we often think of last mile as a food or grocery delivery, but what does last mile look like to companies that are delivering to traditional brick and mortar stores? I'm in Germany, maybe in the United States as well. How has the pandemic changed the way that these companies think about last mile?
Yeah, so food delivery, grocery delivery, B2C package delivery, all of these segments were already growing at a pretty good pace before COVID. But it has become really apparent that the pandemic has sort of clicked the fast forward button on the rate of growth of these segments, right? So demand has increased significantly, and it's very likely that a large part of this demand will persist even post-pandemic. So what this demand has done is it's put increased pressure on businesses to be more competitive. So on the one hand, there's consumer expectations on the speed and quality of delivery, and that's very high. And on the other, the last mile segment of the logistics journey is just happens to be the most complex and expensive part of the overall journey. So the big challenge for brick and mortar companies is how to maximize customer satisfaction on the one side while having control over the cost to serve.
Excellent stuff, Deepak. So let's talk about e-commerce, right? Over this past year, we've really seen e-commerce deliveries increase and supply chain disruption all over the board, right? So what have you seen, and how have you seen companies adapting their models to deal with these things?
Yeah, a quick comment on those disruptions. They were crazy. One of the earliest phenomena we saw during the early months of the pandemic, and I'm talking about April, May of last year, was this massive shift in demand categories. So some demand categories just simply dropped, while others like home essentials shot through the roof. And at the same time, retail outlets had to be shut down, and that put a lot of pressure on e-commerce to kind of fill the gap. So yeah, we saw businesses responding very rapidly. So besides customer satisfaction and besides operational efficiency, they had this third challenge to contend with, which was the safety of their own workers, especially, but not only, but especially their last mile courier agents, the delivery staff. So contactless delivery was a particular innovation that worked very well. And increasingly, we saw businesses embracing digitization and location intelligence, and seeing them as things that were really crucial for their success in helping them cope with these challenges.
Hey, last mile is expensive, but it can be costly, not just money-wise, but customer-wise as well. People get crazy over their shipments coming, right? People, they get very demanding, especially if you guarantee them shipping within a certain period of time. So let's talk about the cost of last mile and the rising expectations. What can we do to mitigate some of this stuff?
Yeah, last mile is expensive, anywhere from 40 to 55% of the total logistics cost. The total cost of the logistics journey can be attributed to the last mile. So yeah, but much of this cost can be reduced through digitization and location intelligence. So for example, in the customer service department, a large number of inbound customer queries come in, and they're along the lines of, hey, where's my shipment? Where's my package? And the number of queries could be reduced if customers could receive accurate status updates on their phones. Here, your package is going to arrive at 4 p.m., and then it does arrive at 4 p.m. So the number of calls would significantly drop. So in the medium to long term, this would result in a drop in the number of calls, but yeah, it would also result in a drop in the overall cost of running the customer service department. Or let's take another example. If in the load planning stage, the delivery routes that the vehicles have to take, if they are optimized, taking into account the nature of the cargo, the physical dimensions of the vehicle, the hours of service regulations, loading and unloading time windows, then the overall planning process would be far more reliable for the dispatchers, reliable for the drivers, and even reliable for the customers. And that could go a long way in reducing cost. So yeah, I would say a lot of companies today even continue to use paper-based manifestos, right? So there is a lot of scope for digitization and adding location intelligence, and all of these things would reduce the cost significantly.
Absolutely. And when you go through all of that technology and all of that planning and all of that route optimization, it still comes to the driver, right? How are companies empowering and incenting those drivers to make that delivery on time?
Yeah, in one word, technology. So apps. So for the longest time, drivers had to rely on clipboards and paper manifestos, and they had to rely on their own local knowledge of the area in which they're making their pickups and drop-offs. But increasingly, businesses are empowering drivers with apps that are enterprise grade and reliable. So things like navigation, job scheduling, workflow management, all of that is increasingly becoming automated. So that leaves the driver to just keep on driving. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what are some reasonable expectations in transparency that someone could assume they could have right now?
Sure. So for most businesses, the end-to-end supply chain journey is incredibly complex, right? So there are multiple parties operating in the first mile, the middle mile, and the last. You could have a third-party logistics service provider in the first mile, another one in the middle mile, and yet a third one in the last mile. And handovers are not really efficient. So with innovations in location technology, tracking of shipments across these complex multimodal logistics journeys becomes possible. And a customer can see where a shipment is at any stage of this journey, irrespective of which third-party player or operator is the shipment is with at that moment.
So
and
important.
That information, the visibility, where the shipment is, and when it's going to arrive at the next destination, that can be shared transparently with customers.
And so important. It's so important to do that. And you talked about it, especially, and even from all arms, and the customer service arm as well, even just reducing that number of calls. Deepak, we are out of time. We do appreciate you joining us on the show. Check out what Here has to offer. Now we're going to jump over to, we caught up with this gentleman a little bit earlier in the week. It is ARC Best, Tim Thorne. We hear this may be the last interview that he ever does, and what a great one it is. We talked about veterans in the military, a constant theme here. We always love to cover that space. I've done a ton of insiders, and so many guests I speak to, they have military background, come from military families. It's as intertwined with supply chain and logistics as can be, especially in the United States of America. By the way, in Germany, isn't it like 9 o'clock? It looks sunny outside his window.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These good 7-8 hours ahead of us.
I think he is, right? Yeah. Well, like Chattanooga, the sun stays out forever. It does. Like trying to put kids to bed. It's crazy. Beautiful place. We'll see you here in November, but let's check out that interview with Tim Thorne right now. Michael Vincent, it's an honor to bring up our next guest. It's Tim Thorne, and he is the president of ABF Freight, but he was also a U.S. Army infantry officer, a former Oklahoma Sooner, and he was recently honored with the 2020 Herbert Metziger Service Award from the Dixon Center for Military and Veteran Services. Tim, thank you so much for joining us on the air today.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. I'm stoked. You know, we're talking about something I'm really passionate about, so I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, let's start there. Why are you so passionate about Veterans Affairs? We did touch on how you were in the infantry for the U.S. Army, so I imagine that's kind of where this all started.
Well, you know, not really. Grew up in a military environment. I'm the son of a veteran. My father was a career airman in the Air Force. My father-in-law is also career Air Force. I have two brothers that were in the Army. And my son went to the Air Force Academy and spent 5 years in the Air Force and also got out as a captain. So, just really passionate about what the Army's done for me and what the military's done for our family. And then, great that I'm able to connect that with the job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that you won the Metzger Award, and then ABF was also honored as a veteran-friendly company as well for 2020, and I think a number of years before that as well. Can you talk about your personal transition from military to civilian life and how that motivated you?
Yeah, I think that that's quite an interesting story, and really transcends to a lot of veterans today. And so, if you think about the first probably half of my life was all military. And so that transition was really from the military civilian life was somewhat of a culture shock for my wife and I. She was a military brat, like I mentioned, and she married me right after I went in the Army, which was right out of college. And so at that time, military life was all we knew. But I was hired at ABF in the early 90s and kind of felt at home there. If you think about our industry, it's somewhat similar to some of the roles in the military. It's hard work, as both of you know, pretty good pay, good benefits. There's some nights and weekends, and I can tell you in the Army, I spent a lot of nights and weekends playing Army. And, I had a leadership role in the Army, so this really helped me in regards to employee engagement, things like maintenance and safety. And I was just used to living and working in a very diverse environment. And so I think all of this translates well into trucking.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the military, and I think why it pairs so well with supply chain is in military, you're repositioning assets, you're repositioning people, you're dealing with foreign governments, you're doing all of the things that we do in supply chain, in a sense. I mean, obviously, there's also the whole infantry thing and the whole weapons thing. We don't typically fight our trade wars with weapons on those kind of documents, but there's a lot of similarities. So do you feel that a lot of military veterans, that they make ideal candidates to transition from that military life to the supply chain?
Well, I certainly think so. When I think about the servicemen and women of today's military, I think they're well trained for all sorts of fields and industries. I mean, it's the largest organization in the world. You think about departments like HR, accounting, technology, engineering, the legal side of it, admin, safety, payroll, finance. I mean, if you even think about jobs like yours, I mean, there's the Armed Forces Network, there's the Stars and Stripes publication. There's all sorts of jobs there. And to your point, beans, bullets, and fuel don't just show up on the battlefield. I suspect the military manages the largest supply chain in the world. So it's just full of logistics professionals that are just right for our industry. I think about, some of us might remember the Red Ball or know about the Red Ball Express in World War II, or you can go back to the Civil War and Sherman's March to the Sea. in the Civil War. Our military in our country really depends on the supply chain, and specific to trucking, the military has a lot of heavy equipment, like you guys talked about. Most of it's diesel, and I suspect that sounds familiar. They have big trucks like we do, as well as tanks and tracks, and they have to have drivers, they have to maintain those, and even the working environment's very similar. So, I agree. There's a lot out there for us in the veteran space.
Absolutely.
Well, Vincent, just one note before we move on from
Yes,
that, because
please.
he's talking about the space and the military thing is,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the box that changed the world, Malcolm McLean, he made the modern standardized shipping container.
That's correct.
But the military, what he took was notes from the military who themselves were using standardized containers to send munitions and goods throughout the world.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say, I mean, many battles in all wars and most wars were won because of logistics, or lost because of the disruption of the supply chain or logistics. And I agree with you. Veterans, military are very, very good for this industry, and many industries as well. But let's talk about why the urge to help them transition and bring them into ABF Freight. You're overcoming. Let's talk about the issues that they face. That is obviously the motivation for you bringing them in and trying to assist them in changing. What are those issues that they see coming out of military life into civilian?
Well, just I guess similar to what I saw. As a bit of a culture shock, and you're coming into a world that most people don't even know what you did, and that's an issue when you think about. Most civilians haven't served in the military. And so all you think about is bullets. You don't think about everything else that they've done in the military. You don't think about how educated they are, how much training they've had, how they've worked in these different environments. And when I think about veterans working at our company, I look at it in a couple of different ways. The first, of course, is I think it's just a great business decision. And the second bucket would be, it's the right thing to do. And so just kind of looking at the numbers, there are about 250,000 servicemen and women transitioning into the civilian world every year. And, at ArcBest and ABF, we don't need all of them, but we've been around about 100 years. And so we have an annual need primarily due to retirements. And so when you look at the specific veteran, let me give you some statistics. And this comes from the Department of Labor and other things. But high school graduates, 67% of high school graduates apply to college. Only 29% of those meet the standards for entry into the military service. So you could say that it's harder to get in the military than some of our colleges. And I think what this does for me is it speaks to the raw talent that's available to us and available to our industry. When you look at veteran unemployment, it's lower than non-veteran unemployment. And so, you could also say that employers want to hold on to our veterans. There's a LinkedIn analysis that shows veterans are more likely to be promoted earlier than their non-veteran cohorts. And so when I think about, just the numbers, hiring veterans is a good business decision. And for me, it's really no brainer. And then, we think about, our company has a values-driven culture. It's based on core values, and a lot of companies do. And that's what we look for in candidates. And the military has core values too. And so, it really kind of aligns well with our recruiting efforts. Military service men and women, and if you've read any military books or studied any history, it doesn't always go perfect. And so think about our industry and what we have to do. What do? We find a way to accomplish a task or mission. And that's our vision statement. Our vision statement says we'll find a way, and that came from a customer. So that really aligns well with veterans. And so if I could take a second, I'd like to talk about that second bucket, which is, hey, it's just the right thing to do. And so, again, you've got a couple 100,000 veterans that are transitioning to the civilian world. And like me, many of us didn't know much about the civilian world. Heck, veterans served our great country. I just think, we ought to do our part, and find them great jobs. And if you think about, where veterans are today, a newly released federal report found the number of homeless veterans in the U.S. increased last year on a single night in January of last year. Now we're talking January. That's before the pandemic, and it's January. I mean, it's wintertime. Over 37,000 veterans were homeless. And you can imagine what that leads to. It leads to depression, and then of course.
Tim, I was going to say the
worse.
mental health issues. We hear about veteran mental health issues all of the time.
Yeah.
And regardless if you're a veteran or not, just getting any help in America for mental health issues has been a challenge. But with PTSD and what we're learning about it now, and what a lot of veterans have been through, it seems even more urgent than ever. Now we're almost out of time, but if a veteran's listening to this and we're doing our job and they're hearing this and they say, you know what, ABF, ArcBest sound like great places for me to go. What's the next step? What do they got to do?
Yeah, I think the next step would the great part about the military today is that they can connect with us really in an easy way. They can go to jobs.abf.com, jobs.arcb.com. We have connected by Zoom and other media with servicemen and women all over the world. We connected with someone on a aircraft carrier that was deployed in the Middle East and did a Zoom interview. And so it's really easy to connect with us. They also have something called Skill Bridge, and all the military folks know about that. And so that's the way they can connect with us.
Tim, thank you so much for your service. It has been an honor talking to you, dude. Thank you for joining us at FreightWaves Live at Home, right here in Chattanooga and on your computer screens everywhere across the globe. Maybe even on that aircraft carrier.
Yeah, maybe even on an aircraft. I hope so.
I hope so, too.
Thank you so much, Tim.
It's been a good time. We got a little more coming up. Stick around. What a wonderful time we've had at FreightWaves Live at Home with all of our guests. We want to thank you so much, TriumphPay, for sponsoring the show. And as our gift back, as we clean up the party we had on this stage, how about we give away a Roomba? How about a Roomba? Who wants a Roomba? Who wants a Roomba? Who wants a Roomba? You want a Roomba? I see them right there. Okay, the winner of the Roomba is none other than JB Hunt's own Mandy
right over there.
Beledge.
She's right there.
Congratulations, Mandy. I'll throw it to you. Doc.
Way to go, Mandy.
Roomba coming for my head. Awesome. By the way, Gregory DeGrossier. Got it right now. FedEx's Gregory DeGrossier. You on the Canon EOS 90D camera. Felicia Sakalaris, she got the Apple TV.
Yes.
Andrew Owens, he got the Melee coffee machine. Rick Bridges got that gigantic 85-inch 4K Sony TV. Thank you. Still more show to come. What's the next segment we have coming up?
We got our proud president, George Abernathy, with Adam Miller, president of Swift Transportation, right?
Sweet.
Talking about drivers and capacity.
If you like what you saw up here, What the Truck, as we said, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, noon Eastern time and live. But if you don't want to make an appointment with your TV, also available on demand, tv.freightwaves.com. Download the FreightWaves TV app. On your favorite podcast player of choice, look up What the Truck, put it in your eardrums. Friday on the show, Pierre Laguerre, founder and CEO of Fleeting. He's coming on to talk about his deal with NBA Brooklyn Nets superstar Kyrie Irving and how they're helping the incarcerated write their comeback story in trucking. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Peace and love.